When you read the New Testament, you get the sense that the gathering of the Christian community, the local church, is less about where you gather and more about whom you gather for and who you gather with. Right? We gather for the sake of the triune God, to worship Him, to sing praises, to pray, to hear His word. We also gather with other people. After all, this is a Christian community. And so when you think of your gatherings as a Christian, whether that's a church service on Sunday or some sort of home Bible study or a prayer meeting or even just gathering with friends, you need to realize that yes, Jesus is supreme. He is primary. The worship of the triune God is the most important thing you do, but the people that you gather with are also extremely important to that worship. This is what all these one another commands are all about, right? Central being love one another. And so you ask, well, how is it that we love one another? What does this look like in reality, in really tangible ways? And there's a very simple starting point for loving one another, and it is this: the holy practice of greeting. Passages like 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 20 say, all the brothers send you greetings. Here's the command: greet one another with a holy kiss. Greet one another with a holy kiss. Now, the book of 1 Corinthians being written in the first century, the practice of an embrace and a kiss was a very common and affectionate greeting. When we fast forward to the 21st century in the inland northwest of the United States where I live, the practice of kissing one another is not a common greeting. But we need to get back to the principle that lies behind this, and that is that when we gather with other Christians for the sake of worshiping Jesus and for the sake of the people around us, we should show deep affection in how we greet one another. This could be smiles or handshakes or hugs or even a nice holy kiss. We ought to show deep affection with those who we gather with. This has dramatic effects on our worship, but on other aspects of the Christian community. For instance, a warm, affectionate greeting will create unity in the church. Listen to the book of Romans, chapter 16, verses 16 and 17. Paul writes, greet one another with a holy kiss. All the churches of Christ greet you. I appeal to you, brothers, to watch out for those who cause divisions and create obstacles contrary to the doctrine that you have been taught. Avoid them. And arguably, one of the ways in which you avoid division, which would be to pursue unity, is by participating in affectionate greeting with the other Christians that you gather with. This helps break down divisions. This helps build unity. And when we look at the books that this command is given, namely 1 Corinthians, Romans, 2 Corinthians, each of these books that Paul writes, each of these letters, he writes to churches that are being threatened by disunity, whether it's divisions across racial divides or gender divides or whatever divides they may have. There was conflicts in these churches, and Paul's instructions to greet one another is going to develop unity in the local church. Another effect of a warm, affectionate greeting is it can produce restoration. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 11 through 13 say, finally, brothers, rejoice. Aim for restoration. Comfort one another. Agree with one another. Live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. Greet one another with a holy kiss. All the saints greet you. Now, this is where it's going to take some effort from you. If you are in conflict with somebody that you are gathering to worship the holy triune God, you ought to greet them with affection. And when you embrace somebody with which you maybe have some sort of personal tension with, when you greet them in participating in worship, it will comfort them. It will bring restoration. It will bring peace. It's a sign of forgiveness and grace when we shake someone's hand, when we give them a smile, when we maybe give them a nice warm embrace. These things help restore people's relationships. And finally, the effect of greeting one another is that it also instills perseverance. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 14 simply says, greet one another with a kiss of love. And the whole book of 1 Peter is written to Christians who are suffering on account of their faith. And this would lead me to conclude that this practice of greeting helps instill a steadfastness in the church. When you gather and worship God and the people around you are excited to see you and express their love for you, that will help sustain you in difficult times, whether it is suffering or persecution or just the everyday trials of life. A greeting from people in your Christian community will give you perseverance. So Christians, next time you gather together, don't just sit down and wait for things to start. Get up, go to somebody, smile, give them a hug, give them a handshake, let them know that you love them and that you're excited to worship God together. Hi, if you found these videos to be a help to you, I would encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as these videos should be coming out about every Friday, at least through 2017. Feel free to share them with your friends and family, and to God be the glory.